Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamundiraya. Before reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, one should offer respectful obeisances unto personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Shyavyasade, the author. Nasta prayeshu badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in the classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So, 3:5:48. Sorry, cannot open the book. Yeah. Tat devayam lokasi shrikshayadya.
Tat Devayam Lokashikshaya Daya Dya. Yeah.
Tvaya nusrishtash tribhir atma visma. Sorry.
Ayanushrityastibir Atma Bhisma.
Sarve viyukta svaviharatanram.
Sarve Viyukta Swavihagatantram.
Na shaknumas tat pratiharvatete.
Na Sakshnumastat Pati Artavete.
Tat devayam lokasi sisrikshayadya.
Tat Devayam Lokashikshikshavadya.
Tvaya nushrishtas tribiratma visma.
Tvayanushristatribir Atmi Bhisma.
Sarve viyukta svaviharatanram.
Sarve Viyukta Swavihagatantram.
Na shaknumastat pratihartavete.
Nashaknumastat Pati Artavete.
Tat devayam lokasishrikshayadya.
Tatevayam Lokashishrik Shayadya.
Tvaya nushrishtas tribhiratma bihisma.
Tvayanushristas tribir atmi bhisma.
Sarve viyukta svavihara-tantram.
Sarve viyukta swavihagatantram.
Na shaknumastat pratihartavete.
Na shaknumastat pati artavete.
Okay, you can go ahead.
I think we did it 3 times already, but if you want to do it more, you can.
I didn't know what's the rule about the number.
There's no rule, usually it's 3 times, but you can do more if you want.
I will do one more, just because the first few times were a little off. Tat devayam lokasi sisrikshayadya.
Tatevayam lokam shishikshadaya.
Tvaya nushrishtas tribhiratma bihisma.
Tvayanushristas tribhiratma visma. Tvayanushristas triviratmavisma.
Sarve viyukta svaviharatantram.
Sarve viyukta swaviharatantram.
Na shaknumas tat pratihartavete.
Na shaknumastat pratiartavete. Tate vayam lokam shishikshayadya.
Tat devayam lokashishrekshayadya.
Tayanushritas triviratmivisma.
Vaya nushrishta chibhiratma bhisma.
Sarve viyukta swaviharatantvam.
Sarve viyukta svaviharatantram.
Nashak numastat pati artavetem.
Na shaknumastat pratihartavete. Anyone? Okay.
Tate vayam lokashishikshayadya.
Tate vayam lokashishrekshayadya.
Tvayanushristas triviratmabhisma.
Vaya nushrishtashtibhiratma bhisma.
Sarve viyuktas vaviharatantram.
Sarve viyukta svaviharatantram.
Na shaknumastat pratihartavate.
Na shaknumastat pratihartavete. Okay. Tat.
Tat.
Therefore.
Therefore,
Te.
te,
Your.
you,
Vayam.
vayam,
All of us.
all of us,
Loka.
loka,
World.
world,
Shishrikshaya.
shishikshaya,
For the sake of creation.
for the sake of creation,
Adya.
adya,
O original person.
O original person,
Tvaya.
tvaya,
By you.
vayu,
Anushrishta.
anushrista,
Being created one after another.
being created one after another,
3b.
3b,
By the three modes of nature.
by the three mode of nature,
Atma-B.
atmavi,
By one's own.
by one's own,
Sma.
sma,
In the past.
in the past,
Sarve.
sarve,
All.
all,
Viyukta.
viyukta,
Separated.
separated,
Svavihara tantram.
savihara tantram,
The network of activities for one's own pleasure.
the network of activities for one's own pleasure.
Na.
Na,
Not.
not,
Shaknuma.
saknuma,
Could do it.
could do it,
That.
that,
That.
there,
Ratihartave.
prati artave,
To award.
to award,
Te.
te,
Unto your.
unto you.
Translation. O original person, we are therefore but yours only. Although we are your creatures, we are born one after another under the influence of the three modes of nature, and for this reason we are separated in action. Therefore, after the creation, we could not act concertedly for your transcendental pleasure. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The cosmic creation is working under the influence of the three modes of the external potency of the Lord. Different creatures are also under the same influence, and therefore they cannot act concertedly, concertedly in satisfying the Lord. Because of this diverse activity, there cannot be any harmony in the material world. The best policy, therefore, is to act for the sake of the Lord. That will bring about the desired harmony. Amagyanatimiratasya gyananjana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Sarasvateve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavari Paschatya Desha Tarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. So this is Maitreya talking to Vidura, and Maitreya is quoting the demigods. So I read through the verses a little bit, and it's quite interesting how the demigods speaking appear on the scene, because Maitreya Rishi is describing the Mahatattva. He's speaking about material elements and how they like come in existence, and how they like how the air comes from ether, and how the fire comes from the air, and how like the sense objects like kind of comes first, and then from that unfolds the material element. And he describes the mind and the false ego, and then like almost like sounds like from the same process of like the Mahatattva and energy, I wrote it down, eternal time and external energy mix together, and then the demigods appear. And then the very next verse is, and the demigods said. So from Maitreya Rishi description, it sounds like as soon as the demigods appear on the scene, they start to pray. At least that's how it sounds. So the material creation is like very complex thing. I would say very difficult to understand for us with a limited vision. And like the demigods, like they are in charge. They are in charge of like the different things in the material world. Really, they are in charge of like every single detail, which is quite fascinating. So I will speak a little bit about my vague understanding of these things, because I find it fascinating, but I really don't understand. I have to hide myself because that's disturbing. Sorry. So yeah, because I find it quite fascinating, and I understand very little how from the sound comes the ether, and then with the ether comes the sense of hearing, and then from ether comes sense of touch, and from touch develops the air, and then within the air there is friction, and that friction creates fire, and the fire comes with the sense of vision, like seeing, we can see the fire, and then from the fire comes the sense of taste, and water develops, and then from water comes the earth with a sense of smell, and these material elements, that's like grossly all there is in this material world. And like, for example, if we take this material body, it's only a combination of these 5 material elements. And then like I was thinking about the element of the fire, but I could take any other of those elements. And so in our bodies there is element of fire, and that's like the actual real fire. Like if you put a wood in I don't know, fireplace or wherever, food, and light it. So the same reaction, like the wood and oxygen, is being broken down into water and carbon dioxide, and the fire is the energy that's released from the wood. And chemically, biochemically, the very same process is happening in every cell of our bodies right now. It's a very small fire, so we cannot see it, but we can feel the heat because this body is hot. It's hot according, I don't know how is it in Florida now, but this body is hot in compared to the air here. So that's the proof that the fire is there. The fire is like constantly there, and this reaction is happening. And then the plants, they are doing the opposite thing. They take the water and carbon dioxide, and they create the wood. They create the sugar. How? Like by storing the sunlight, the fire from the sun into their cells. So it's really fascinating. This is just like a science, but it's really fascinating how these elements are behind like everything that's in this material nature. And then I'm like contemplating a lot the relationship between the elements and the gunas, because like on one point of view, it seems that the elements are like a gross material, let's say, like a material from which everything is created. And then the gunas seem more like a quality, of the particular element. But then at the same time, when we read about how is it all created, it seems that the gunas are also coming from the Mahatattva. So I'm not quite clear about the relationship of the elements and the gunas. But still, if we like stay with the example of the fire, so if the fire is in the mode of sattva, we can cook for Krishna on that fire in the mode of sattva. And then there can be fire in the mode of raja, and that burns everything. And then fire in the mode of tamas is like very, very subdued. Like it's like a fire that's from a wet, moist wood. So the same thing is like happening in our bodies. Like there can be fire in the mode of sattva, and that's, let's say, healthy digestion, and a fire in the mode of raja, and that's like excessive heat in the body and sweating and ulcers in the stomach. Or fire in the mode of tamas, which is like very like depression, like down, like a lot of mucus. And also on the emotional levels, because from the gross elements, like develops the sense perception, like from air and sky develops the sense perception, and like from also the mind, like the consciousness that's like covered by the gross elements and by the subtle elements and by the gunas. And I really am just like thinking a little loud how they all relate. So maybe that can be a discussion then. And so, so even like the fire is affecting the mind, for example. So fire is like emotion of anger, that's fire. And then the anger can be in mode of sattva, or, like protecting what's important to be protected, or anger in the mode of raja, destroying, or anger in the mode of tamas, resentment, bitterness, depression. So there are these like 5 gross elements, and then 3 subtle elements: mind, false ego, and intelligence, and then the 3 gunas, which I'm not quite sure if it's just like a function of those 8 basic elements, or there is like in the creation they also like emerge from each other. And then each of those elements have their presiding deity. They have a demigod that's in charge. So even just that, like to imagine how complex this system is. Like this body has like the little fires in every cell of its body. There is a little fire, and there is water, and there is earth that make the structure. And then behind all that, there is like a demigod that needs to be cooperating with the other demigods to like make this machine work. So from Maitreya Rishi description, it seems like there appears the 5 elements and the mind and the senses and the demigods from the same Mahatattva appear. Because as soon as that they are needed to, I mean, Krishna could do it himself, but maybe there are some living entities who have this desire to be in charge and control. So he gives the opportunity. So as soon as that the demigods emerge from the Mahatattva, and when they emerge, what they start to do, they start to pray. So that's quite amazing. It reminds me of Lord Brahma, who appears as the first living being in this universe on the lotus flower growing from Mahavishnu's navel. It's not Mahavishnu, I think. It's the second Vishnu. Karanodakashai, Garbhodakashai, Kshirodakashai, Garbhodakashai. Thank you. I have a silent, I don't know how is it called, but I got the advice. So Garbhodakasha is Vishnu's navel, lotus flower, and then Lord Brahma appears as the first living entity, and he doesn't know what to do, so he starts to pray. So I find it very relevant. I find it very relevant to us. So in this particular verse, what the demigods are saying is very interesting, because they are understanding that now, as they came into the material world, so it sounds like, it's a new creation. It's a new creation of the universe. So they just appear there, wherever they were. Maybe they were sleeping in Mahavishnu, who inhaled them. I'm making so much conjecture. But they were somewhere, like they just appeared in this universe. That's obvious. And it's like a new experience for them, because all of a sudden they are covered by these modes of nature. And they say, okay, so we cannot really act for your transcendental pleasure with this concentration, with a real full alignment. So the pure devotees in the spiritual world, they are like individuals with their free will, and they desire individually. It's not that they are like same, but all their desires are completely aligned with Krishna, because they are his part and parcels, and it's like natural that like parts and parcels of like one body have the same desire. But then when we get covered, that's lost, because we start to have our own desires. And what's different is our own desire is not necessarily aligned with Krishna's desire. Krishna gives permission, but it's not that he is pleased. So they say we cannot act for your transcendental pleasure with like such a clarity and concentration, because our action is now separated and we are covered by the modes of nature. So we could say like, oh, okay, so now the demigods are covered. Now we are covered. So we cannot act. We cannot act according to what Krishna like desires, because it's impossible. We don't even know that because of this separation. I don't even know. But what the demigods do as they continue their prayers, and it's the last verse of this chapter, is like, kindly award us your perfect knowledge and potential, so that we can render your service. So they ask Krishna what to do. So like Lord Brahma, he is born on the lotus flower, and he doesn't know, where he is what's happening there, what to do. So he prays, he's meditating, chanting. And so that's it. It's like realizing, like the demigods, as soon as they are there, they are realizing, okay, now we are covered and we don't know what's to be done and what is not to be done. And thus we are asking you, Krishna, tell us what to do. Like Arjuna, when he's like unclear about his duty, that's when he approaches Krishna. Krishna, I'm perplexed, tell me what to do. And Srila Prabhupada says that Arjuna has no advantage over us. So that's good, because we could say, well, but Arjuna was like right there with Krishna on the battlefield, so he could ask him directly. Or okay, Lord Brahma, but you know how advanced Lord Brahma is. So it's so easy for him to hear the super soul in the heart. But for me, it's impossible. So that's not really true. That's why Srila Prabhupada is giving us the process by which we can also approach Krishna for guidance. Desham satata yuktanam bhagavan priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogantam yanamam upayantite. So Krishna gives intelligence to those who come to him, who surrender to him, who worship him with devotion. And by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we can all do that. So we couldn't do it without the mercy, because we wouldn't even know what is the process to approach Krishna. We wouldn't even know like what is the process to approach Krishna for that guidance. And we know what is the process. It's like it's given. And I'm reading these books. I already shared with some of you. It's called Celebrating Discipline. I like the label. I like the title of the book, Celebrating Discipline. And he's a Christian author, and he's kind of like scrutinizing the Bible and like looking for a sadhana. He's like taking biblical verses and like distilling sadhana from that, which, is like, we are very fortunate because we have a very clear sadhana from Srila Prabhupada. Christians don't, but he's really, I like the book, like he's taking like the example of like different saints from the Bible, and he's like taking what they were doing, and then by that he's like creating different structures. And what he says, and I like it, and I think it's aligned with Srila Prabhupada's teaching, is that like when we like practice some of the discipline, like chanting Hare Krishna, that's practicing a discipline, or no meat eating is a discipline from that point of view. So when we do that, that's like how we are like putting ourselves in front of Krishna's lotus feet, in front of Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet, and like kind of saying, here I am, please guide me, please instruct me. I am like giving yourself here. And that's all we can do, because like we cannot like outsmart the process. And then it's up to Krishna how he like reciprocates with that prayer. But he gives freely that process, how we can come to him, how we can approach him. And so, yeah, like, I've been thinking a lot, like, when Mother Malini asked me to lead this class, I felt like, oh no, I really don't know what to speak about. And this is like a second or third time that this happened to me. And before that, I was always so happy, like, yes, I'm going to give a class, so exciting, I will speak. And it's like, and now I'm like, I feel like I have nothing to say, and it's almost it feels like this like process of Krishna consciousness is like taking me backwards. Like it feels like it. I will get to the point that my conjecture will explain that maybe it's not true, but like from being confident and like knowing knowing what can I say about, like demigods praying to like, okay, I know nothing about these topics. I don't know what I can say. I feel completely embarrassed from like knowing what to do with my life. I always knew what to do with my life. I was so clear from a little childhood, and I never could understand those people who were like, I don't know what to do. When we were 15 and choosing the high schools, and I had so many schoolmates who didn't know what to do. It was so boring for me. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Then when I don't know what to do, it's like, I don't know who I am, because for me, it's always like, okay, I know who I am. And then from that, doing is very clear. So, I am this Hare Krishna devotee. So I go distribute books, I chant Hare Krishna, I wear a sari. It's clear, like complete done, or I'm like this, like horse person. So I do everything. I wear the riding trousers, always a little dirty because I'm not like some fancy girl, and I have dirty nails, and I read everything about horses, and I definitely don't associate with people who know nothing about horses because I think they are boring. So from like really having like clarity in my life, intention, I used to have like such a good like grasp of the clear intention principle, and like knowing what is my goal, and like going with like the flow of the life to like bring me to that goal, and like accomplishing it. It's like gone. Like I feel like I don't know who I am. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I want. And it really brings me every morning to this desperate prayer for guidance. And when I do that, like when I, get up in the morning and chant, and at least like try to focus, I consider it like a good japa when I actually get up and at least like try to focus, I consider it a good japa. When I do that, I have like clarity for the rest of the day. But not like for next 10 years or, next 30 years, but I have a clarity for the rest of the day. So it's nice. And then when I don't do it, then all the day I'm just completely lost. And it's just like, and I do nothing. So I guess in that sense, it's a progress because like the demigod appear on the scene, there is like Mahatattva, air, earth, fire, just like gross elements, subtle elements, and then they are here, and it's like, okay, we know we are supposed to serve Krishna, so they are way farther advanced than I am, but they know we are supposed to serve Krishna, but what does it mean? We don't know because we are so disconnected. So by losing that great clarity for myself, I'm kind of left to pray for guidance. And what the author of the Celebrating Discipline says, and I really like it too, he says that we have it's like common in the society to believe that we cannot do it. Like, I cannot come to guidance to Srila Prabhupada. I cannot come to guidance to Krishna. It's only for some like special among special spirit souls, maybe those who met Srila Prabhupada in person before 77, or like, idea like this. And he speaks for the Christian world, so it seems the same there, that like the common belief in the society is like someone else needs to do it for me and then tell me what the Lord wants from me, but I will ask someone else than the Lord, because of course I cannot connect with him. And so he like says no, it's for everyone, and everyone can do it any moment we can like sit and ask for the guidance and chant and quiet ourselves, and like in the relation to that, I'm thinking a lot like we have the do's and don'ts if you want to progress on this path on Krishna consciousness. Really, we have do's and don'ts when we want to progress anywhere in life, but now we are focusing on progressing in Krishna consciousness. And Sri Rupa Goswami says, like, to accept everything that's favorable and reject everything that's unfavorable. And I think, like, in my spiritual life, I am focusing a lot on like accepting what is favorable, and I like the rejecting what is unfavorable is like missing on a big part. Of course, I kind of follow the regulative principles, at least on the gross basic level, but like the subtle of like, okay, like focus on chanting Hare Krishna and don't think other things. Always remember Krishna and never forget him. Don't think other, like there is always like the counterpart of the don't. And I feel like it's really missing for me, because if I don't focus on, let's say I'm chanting, it's much easier for me to focus on like being silent, and then on the silent background to have a like clean focus on the Maha Mantra, than to focus on focusing on the Maha Mantra all the while my mind is like, flying here and there. So why I went here, because like, okay, let's say, and I do it quite often, that I come to the altar with Shri Prabhupada, and I, come with some question, and some of the questions are like very little, one would think like, why to bother Shri Prabhupada with that even? But I do that because it's just sweet to do that. And it's so important to be like in that quiet state, like chanting quiet and like waiting for the response. Because when I want some guidance, it's like, tell me what to do, what shall I do? I don't know who I am, tell me what to do. And it's just like there is like no space to receive. So it's a practice. It's a practice. That's why we are practicing Krishna consciousness, and it's also in the book, Celebrating Discipline. It's a practice. So obviously, when we start to practice this, we might not be very good at it, so that's good. There is space for like doing it all wrong and not to hear any answers coming to us. That's fine. But we can practice this, like also seeking the guidance from within. And, I think in this assembly that we have here, I can like speak like that, because of course we have like a lot of guidance from without, and that's helpful. It's like a check in. But then at one point, I feel it's really important to also like start to be attuned to the guidance from within, because otherwise it can be quite like it's just, okay, I don't know what otherwise, but it's just like so much more like personal, like intimate personal relationship, when we also learn to seek the guidance from within. So Krishna says, Man mana bhava mad bhakto, man jaji man namaskuru, man evaishyasi. I will not complete the verse, because till this point, Krishna says twice in Bhagavad Gita, always think of me and become my devotee. So it seems to be important when Krishna says twice. He wouldn't say twice. I mean, everything that Krishna says is important, but he says twice. And so, this is really one way, and there is many other ways how we can do that, how we can like be attuned to the Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam that Krishna gives us the intelligence, how we can come to him. And yeah, like for that, like coming there with some like really openness to hear. Queen Kunti says that it's like for those who are materially exhausted. So after that, we can come with the sincere feelings like, Krishna, I'm like really quite lost here. None of my good plans worked. I'm a little tired to make new plans that will not work again. I'm like quite frustrated, and And yeah, exhausted. I'm exhausted from like, going for some material goal and then being frustrated and being frustrated again, and then maybe accomplishing it, but then losing it again. It's just like, it's so tiring, and I really don't know, I really don't know what is good for me. I tried all my good plans, good for me. It didn't turn out so great. And now I am like humbly admitting that I have no intelligence how to live my life. So when we are material exhausted, and also a verse that comes to my mind in this relationship is Sarva Dharma Parityagya. So Krishna says, abandon all religion. But the word Dharma, religion, is not like really religion. When we say religion, we are maybe thinking like Christianity, Hindu, and this and that. But it's like, it goes deeper. The word Dharma goes deeper than that. It goes into all these identifications. I'm a woman, I am Czech, I'm a veterinarian, I am this set of like skills and abilities and shortcomings, and like really, yeah. So and I felt it in past years in my life, like losing, not that I don't have false identifications, but I lost like some major false identifications one after another. And that's like very like shaking the ground, like really like the identification, like for example, I always thought I will be a mother. I'm not, maybe I will be, but that I am something is like rooted out, and it's so destabilized. That experience is so destabilizing, because it's like, okay, so where am I then? Or I don't know, like, oh, I'm like this transformative seminar facilitator, and then I'm like, no, I don't feel that's true. But like, it's also like, was like so uprooted, and it's so destabilizing for me. And at the same time, I feel like this destabilizing is really like the Sarva Dharma Parityagya, that like Krishna wants this like raw, vulnerable state of like when Sanatan Goswami approaches and he says, I don't know who I am. Because like to like know who I am is like far away. What is my eternal relationship and service to Krishna? I have no idea. But then like these false identifications, they are in the way. They are like on one hand, they are like the dawns. And of course, it doesn't mean that we are supposed to leave our duties. Not at all. We of course have like some roles, but like being in some role doesn't mean that I need to identify with that role. But the mind always wants to identify with something. I can like really feel like every time some of my attachment is like broken, my mind immediately goes like, okay, then where I'm going to attach next? Maybe I could go back to the horse riding, that worked well, or I could, it's just looking. It's like looking where to attach. So I'm like saying, could you maybe attach to Krishna? That would be nice. But yeah, so I will just look if I have something in my notes that I wanted to say. Okay, so I think that's about it, what I can say to this verse. Hare Krishna. So I will read it again. Tattevayam loka shishri shayadya vaya nushistashti viratma mihisma sarve viyuktas vavihara tantram na shaknumastat pratihartavete. O original person, we are therefore but yours only. Although we are your creatures, we are born one after another under the influence of the three modes of nature. And for this reason, we are separated in action. Therefore, after the creation, we could not act concertedly for your transcendental pleasure. Hare Krishna. Oh, are there any comments, questions, disagreements, and other philosophical points or experiences? Damayanti.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the class. Right now I'm connecting with how it's fun to not know and be dropped clues, like it's a little bit of a game. Like we're on a journey. We only can realize what like the realizations that we have on what is my service, where do I belong, are like dropped to us in the right time, like a, like it feels like it's like a game or an adventure. And that's just the way it is. Not, we can't force it, and it just comes when it comes out. Obviously, being sincere, we can be prepared to receive. And even then, like Krishna might have like a different timing, like push it a little longer or drop something like, here's a realization maybe before you're ready. Like it can just be like, I guess, yeah, I'm just thinking that there's some adventure to it, not knowing like exactly what's next. And not that I always feel this way. That would be great if I felt like life was an adventure. Like, oh, what am I going to realize or not be revealed this day or week? Like, I don't feel that way. I'm like, oh, what do I want? I'm not getting it. I'm not really focused on Krishna. And but I did have this recent experience of being guided little by little towards a vision. And it started with like pain, like I'm not happy with what I'm doing, working online and just putting things places on the digital world. It's like, okay, like I just have more capacity, more interests, other interests in that. And it was a nice way to bring income in, but it's like, I don't want to spend my time doing that. Anyway, I won't say every realization as it went, but like little guidance came like, oh, if I had a mission to serve, if I had a mission, like a business or like a mission or something that I could do for earning income, that it would be good for me on a personal growth level just to experience determination and steadiness in service. Like that would just be good to be determined and to experience having a mission. Because I don't have like a lot of fire in terms of mission. Like so I just don't really have like a lot of drive. But it would be good for me to just practice those skills, like it's qualities that I will need in the eternal realm, and I could practice having a mission here. And what is that like? Of course, I want it to be aligned with Krishna consciousness. So that realization came, and then a Christian entrepreneur came across my world, and they were like, "Well, your service likely is related to what you have a lot of expertise in. Like, what could you talk about forever that people don't understand that you understand naturally?" And I was like, oh yeah, it's, relationships with children. Okay. And then just little things like were dropped, like little realizations, all like different angles were dropped. And then I was like, okay, I'll return to the service. And I was praying way more because I was thinking of a mission, because of frustration from my work. Like, okay, Krishna, you created this lifetime with me and this story with me. Like, I don't know why, but this has where my life has gone. And I'll return to the service of serving children through parents. I don't know why. I'm just going to practice a leap of faith. I'm going to practice going for it and not giving up, because I've always like had self-doubt and then dropped out of the game. And then I just want to add one last thing, that when I returned to the service, I thought I would talk about playfulness. And then that was like really self-centered. And not resonating with me, and I had no energy. And then I picked up the book I wrote about God consciousness and parenting. And I was like, I need to talk about this. This gives me more energy. I have more inspiration. So now it's like the whole journey is like leading me towards talking directly about God consciousness, surrender. And a huge part of the whole entire book is being able to hear the guidance from God. And that's the whole, it's like surrender, like to be able to hear and then act on what you're hearing from the guidance from God. And that's, I don't know, I was like, I don't even know how I wrote that book. Like, it's a little book, it's a short book, but I don't even know how I wrote it, but it's serving me so much. Like, okay, this can be my guiding light. And now all the inspiration is flowing and I can live out the mission, and it doesn't have to do with me. And it helps me do God consciousness because I'm putting God in the center of my service and helping parents put God in the center. Anyway, I feel like really aligned now. And I could talk about relationships, which it's like I'm still going to talk about relationships with children, but it has nothing to do with parenting techniques, really what I want to talk about. And I could talk about parenting techniques, which is mode of goodness. But anyway, I'm just sort of sorting all of it out, and I feel like I'm on a little like guidance journey with Krishna, and like little realizations are coming one at a time. So
yeah, you are experiencing in your life this like reciprocation with Krishna, and like the guidance that like he's guiding you to, you know, what you want to do, but it's also aligned with like serving to him. And you are realizing that you wrote the book for yourself, so you could read it later when you need it. And yeah, you are like finding your like service, your service now.
yeah, well, it's like a good way to pass the time while I'm here is to serve in a realm that I have familiarity and interest, and then bring God into it, which is my whole premise, is bring God back into the picture to parents, God into the picture. And then it is like going to help me. It's like a good topic for me. So yeah, just working out, I guess that's what I'm going to do. So I'm spending my time doing is putting that together. A lot of inspiration is flowing, like, and then I read what I wrote and I'm like, I align with all of that. Like, I'm energized by what flowed out of me. And I'm like, yeah, it's just, I don't know, something's clicking. Krishna,
it's like when Shri Prabhupada says, I am reading my own books because Krishna dictated them to me. So it seems that you were very connected when you were writing this book, and you don't even remember, you know, what you were writing or how you had this realization so many years ago.
Kind of. Thanks.
Hare Krishna. Madre Malini.
Hare Krishna, Hladini Shakti Prabhu. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing part of the creation and how the element come and where we are at in the Bhagavatam. And then I'm inspired also by your sharing about approaching Shri Prabhupada with small little things and be in that place. I feel inspired by the verse itself, the last few verses and the beginning of that section, that the demigods, they are very empowered. They are extremely intelligent and they have resources and they have everything really that we wish for. Everything as human beings that we wish for, all the demigods, they have it. And still they say, we are not capable. We are not capable of doing that task. And that humility, of course, leads them to do things that are even superior to their natural superior ability. Yeah. And and also appreciate the part of like losing upadis identification, sarva upadi nirmuktam yatpa mena nirmala, you know, like when we are free from all upadis, that's when, and Krishna is helping us do that. And in Krishna consciousness, it's very interesting because I notice that when people come to Krishna consciousness, they know it all. They really know it all. Like there is nothing for them to learn whatsoever. That's true. And then I'm just there, I'm just like, wow, they know it all, and I don't know anything. And I've read Shia Prabhupada's book for 35 years, and I still don't know anything, but they know it all, so I'm going to listen. And what else I wanted to share? Yeah, the part of like waiting. I read a book 2 years ago of a hermit. She a Carmelite nun in the Alps. It was a French book, and our daily task was very clear: fetching water 20 minutes down the mountains and back, and then cutting wood for the winter, and then fixing all our dwellings. And, you know, like our daily task, there was no mission, there was no vision, there was nothing. It was just a daily task of maintenance, self-preservation, a healthy life and self-preservation. That's all we are supposed to desire anyway. Healthy life and self-preservation. So our daily tasks were only around that. There was nothing else. And still, she will sit in contemplation. Of course, she will sit in contemplation in the morning as part of her sadhana, but also she will sit in contemplation as part of her daily life to wait for instruction. Do I fix the tarp over the chapel first? Do I fetch the wood or go get the water? Even so, her tasks were very clear. So what you are sharing is remind me of that when you sit in the morning and you chant in the morning early, then your day is very clear. Even so, you may not have a mission or a vision. And the mission and the vision, I think it's something that comes when Krishna wants, and if Krishna wants. Like Srila Prabhupada speak about his father, and he said, my father was a pure devotee. Yeah. And his father never had a mission or vision or like anything, but every day he will worship his deities, and he raised his children in Krishna consciousness, and he took care of his clothes business, you know, like that. And he was a pure devotee. And then Srila Prabhupada, as a pure devotee too, he had a mission, a big one, to go to the West, and he was so empowered by Krishna in ways that's inconceivable. And he was supposed to be empowered by Krishna, by his position, his relationship with Krishna. So being a pure devotee or be advanced in Krishna consciousness or devotional service doesn't look anyway in the sense of activity or external achievement. You know, like that, like Gorkit Shardas Babaji or so many. Anyhow, yeah. And the verse also that came to my mind is 5th verse of the Shikshastaka. Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitamam Vishave Bhavan Buddho Kripaya Tava Pankaja Stita Duli Shadrisham Vichimtaya. So we are, like, if we can pray from that place again and again every day, that's the ultimate contract. I am an eternal servant. I am your eternal servant. I am your eternal servant. And it's so soothing for my heart to just say that. I am your eternal servant. And it doesn't matter. Maybe I'm supposed to be sick all the time. Maybe I'm supposed to move mountain and you know, like found an institute for personal development. Maybe I'm supposed to, you know, do nothing. I don't know. But I am your eternal servant, life after life, like that. Thank you for your class. And yeah, I really like the I'm like you, I don't know how to say that word. Concertedly. I like that too, because I can see this is really difficult. for all the demigods to concentratedly serve Srila Prabhupada, for demigods in the form of devotee of the Lord on this platform where we are at, concertedly serve Srila Prabhupada's mission. We have so much power together. We have so much wealth together. We have so much intelligence together. We have so much ability to renounce. We have so much everything, beauty, everything together. But it's not happening because this is a three mode of matter and nature that getting in the way and create friction and fire, like you were saying earlier. And that's really, that's a task, concertedly. Prabhupada speak about that quite a lot. Hare Krishna, thank you for your class.
Hare Krishna, thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's very soothing to hear about. I think I have this experience in Vrindavan of like, people, devotees who seemed like really advanced, and their mission was, sit on the street and sell flowers or chant Hare Krishna, and it felt soothing to see that, and my Western mind just cannot do that. Like I was really connecting how Srila Prabhupada was speaking about the Western mind, how it's like constantly in this like accomplished mood. And so when I'm like, it feels good to be like clear on that one day, but I want to know, like it's so intense. Yeah. But it's true, like anytime I like pray for guidance, I always get improve your japa. And I know that when I do that, I actually have like much more clarity than, but it's frustrating. I don't want to hear that. Yeah, but so, but I do appreciate that that like a reminder of the pure devotional service, or even mixed devotional service. It doesn't have to look certain way. It's just like the mind ideas again for like being important, or like going it according to my ideas how it should be, like that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that when I get overwhelmed, usually I think of everything I could do or should do at once, and then I get overwhelmed. I have that habit, and sometimes I'll just walk away from everything and go up to Garuda. I don't turn to the altar, but he gives me similar advice as you're getting in your super soul inspiration. I'm like, I don't know what to do. This. I'm like, I don't even know where to put my energy. And he's like, why don't you chant? And I'm like, yes. Like part of me wants to get something done and do the right thing next, like something needs to be accomplished. And he's like, just chant some of your rounds. And, I'm like, that's actually great advice. And I've been a little irritated too. I'm like, yeah, no, but eventually I'm like, yeah, let me go chant, because that will clear the mind, and bring clarity. So
yeah, so the wife is supposed to turn for guidance to a husband, and you have a good husband, so his advice is aligned with the super soul. He is the voice of the super soul. Yes.
sometimes, yeah, he does have that strength of knowing where to put energy. Like, like if I can turn to him and be like, what should we do with the schedule of the calendar, or like just when to do what. He like has a strength in that, and I do turn to him for instruction with like schedule and what to do.
Hare Krishna, thank you for sharing. Any other comments before we close? Okay, thank you everyone for your association and for listening. I think we have some message from Anandini. I am leaving early. My daughter is dictating to me what to do next. Take her horseback riding. Hare Krishna. Jai. It's nice to have some guidance.
Yeah.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.